Hello and welcome to the morning sports briefing here at 8 a.m. every single morning on New Zealand Sports Radio. And folks, you're going to notice today that we're down another member, just two of us. So all this return to work is causing us serious problems because obviously we don't pay people and we require volunteers. So if there's anyone out there who would like to get involved with the channel, either doing a sports specific show or getting involved with the morning sports briefing and giving us updates on things like football or cricket, then do let us know. Do please get in touch. Today in the news, we have Bundesliga ready to return, England delay cricket season, New Zealand rugby praise Railing Castle, the NRL is good to go, and New Zealand returns or is returning to sport. Let's kick us off. We'll start with the football news. And yes, the Bundesliga says it is ready to return on the 9th of May. When you compare that to the other news today, which is that the Dutch top league or the Dutch leagues have been abandoned for the season because in Holland, the government has said no major events until the 1st of September. So in Holland, they've abandoned the league with no winners and no relegation. And then just across the border in Germany, they're saying they're ready to go on the 9th of May. So it's going to be interesting to see how they're going to be able to do it. It looks like it will have to be with no crowds. And even with no crowds, they believe it's going to take 300 people to host one single football game. And so what they're going to need to do is split out the ground into three different areas, one for so that those 300 people don't all mix with each other. And so there's a serious logistical issues to overcome, as well as legal ones as well. But with clubs facing insolvency, it is a big deal over in Germany. Phil Neal, the ex-England international, has confirmed that he will be standing down as the women's head coach he will leave the role in July 2021. So he's confirmed that. So obviously England will be on the lookout for a new head coach for their women's team. Moving into cricket news, and England, the ECB has said they have delayed their delayed their season to July, and that the England versus West Indies Test matches have been postponed. There are no news yet on the 100, which is due to start on the 17th of July. But their domestic season and the international season now has been delayed yet again. Apparently, the ECB has had multiple offers from countries to host domestic cricket overseas because of this. We've had offers as far away as Australia and New Zealand, says the ECB chief executive Tom Harrison. So, and he said, whilst he wouldn't confirm he hadn't heard anything from Abu Dhabi, he said there could be offers from there as well. So clearly, lots of offers on the table for English cricket to take their domestic and international season overseas there as well, which would be very interesting. Moving on to the birthdays then, we'll hand you over to Stephen from the far north. How are you doing, sir?
Very good. Thank you, Paul. And firstly, good morning to everybody on what is a special Anzac Day, especially to those who took the opportunity to head out and acknowledge the service this morning. Pretty much what my wife and I did this morning was headed out to the front mailbox with a couple of candles and tuned in to the special commemorative service that was on radio this morning for anybody who's watching around the world. That's celebrated here in New Zealand and Australia. But great to see a few people out on their footpath this morning, and it's dawned a beautiful day here as well, so it was great to watch the sunrise. More importantly, it's a great day for these people who are having birthdays today. A New Zealand professional tennis player, a two-time middle distance Olympic medalist, and a 5-test black cap all-rounder, and that's pretty much where we start. Bruce Martin is a New Zealand international cricketer who played test cricket for the national team, playing in 5 tests only in the 2013 season. At domestic level, he played for the Northern Districts and Auckland in the state championship and Northland in the Hawke Cup. Martin played as a slow left-arm orthodox spin bowler and right-handed batsman. Bruce Philip Martin, born this day, the 25th of April, 1980 in Whangarei. Bruce is 40 today. Moving on to Nick Willis, who is a New Zealand middle distance runner and the country's only two-time Olympic medalist in the 1500 metres. He won the silver medal at the 2008 Olympics in Beijing and bronze at the 2016 Olympics in Rio. His other achievements over the same distance include the national and Oceania record at 3 minutes 29.66 and medals from 3 consecutive Commonwealth Games, gold in 2006, bronze in 2010 and 2014. Nicholas Ian Willis, MNZM, born this day, the 25th of April, 1983, in Lower Hutt. Nick is 37 today. And finally, Ruben Statham, often referred to by his nickname of Jose, is a professional tennis player from New Zealand. Statham is currently ranked 350th in the world and earned close to $307,000 US, having won 2 challenger tournaments and 19 future tournaments throughout his career. Ruben Statham, born this day, 25th of April, 1987, in Westminster, United Kingdom. Ruben is 33 today. Now, I must just explain, if you are listening now, futures tournaments allow for players to win career titles and improve their rankings. Futures are held in both singles and doubles, and they pretty much last the a full week, and that's basically a qualifying tournament which allows unranked players to enter into the ATP tournaments, and that's the Association of Tennis Professionals, of course, the women's circuit being the WTA. So yeah, just a few interesting side facts. So you've got to do your hard work at these qualifying tournaments, which are called pretty much the futures, and they were previously called challenger tournaments. So just a little bit of information when it comes to these tennis rankings. Thank you, Paul, and that's it for birthdays today.
Thank you very much, Stephen. And moving on to rugby news. And surprise news, New Zealand Rugby has praised Raelene Castle for her unselfish decision. She obviously stood it down yesterday, but they've come out publicly basically backing her and saying what a good job she was doing and how she was a good person to work with and things, which and they said it says a lot about her character, that while we consider that she still had much to contribute to Rugby Australia, she has taken an unselfish look at what is best for the game in Australia. So, New Zealand Rugby standing up for Raelene, and they do wish her the best and thanks her for her contribution to rugby. In other news, apparently Super Rugby and the ANZ Premiership have a chance to return under COVID level 2. The Sports and Recreation Minister, Grant Robertson, said in a briefing on Friday that professional sports would be likely to be able to go underway at level 2. So all sports fans out there, we're looking forward to that date when we might drop down to that level. I'm going to hand you back now to Stephen for our league update.
Thank you again, Paul. Well, very interesting news out of the NRL, because my lead story this morning was supposed to be in and around Peter V'landys. Now, earlier yesterday morning, he had a real shot at all the broadcasting stations or broadcasting networks, especially Channel 9. In fact, just to quote you a couple of his comments, he was concerned about some of the scaremongering and alarmist rhetoric that was basically coming from not just broadcasters, but people in and around the game. And that was supposed to be my lead story. But to my pleasant surprise, I woke up this morning and found that now the NRL is set to restart on its proposed May 28th date after ARL Commission Chairman Peter V'landys, here he is again, struck a deal with broadcast partners Channel 9 and Fox Sports yesterday. The length of the season is still to be confirmed, with a decision expected early next week. A 17-round campaign looms as the minimum amount of games to be played, but broadcasters have significantly endorsed the Telstra Premiership's return play date. It is believed the State of Origin series will be held after the grand final, pending consultation with the RLPA states and clubs. V'landers had earlier on Friday conceded the broadcast partners had a different view to the other regarding on how long the season runs, but told NRL.com all parties are now aiming to restart the game in a month's time. We're united on the commencement date, the target date being the 28th of May, V'landers told NRL.com on Friday evening. From there, we just need a bit of information on the competition structure, so everything is going to plan. And the meeting was very amicable and held in a very good spirits, and all three parties are united in aiming to get the game back and give it as big an audience as possible. Negotiations around the exemption for the Warriors to arrive in Australia before the proposed May 4th return to training date and train together while in quarantine, and for interstate teams to travel to New South Wales remain ongoing at government level. So there we have it, Paul. Looks like we have got the green light for now, but you never know with rugby league. It could change in the space of 24 hours. Thanks again, everybody. Have a great day.
Thank you, Stephen. And yes, it does start to look like we're getting some light at the end of the tunnel down here in New Zealand and Australia. As I just said, the rugby and netball could restart under level 2. We've got NRL with a date to return, and we've also got sport, or at least taking part in sport, coming back to us under level 3 here in New Zealand, because golf, some golf clubs will be opening next week under very strict guidelines and rules. You have to be able to book online, for example, and everything has to be cleaned afterwards, and you can only use your own clubs, etc. The club golf house won't be open. Bowls and tennis also are looking at a partial return next week as well. Now, please do check Sports New Zealand's website for official guidelines as to what you need to do, but it does appear that the guidelines do include things like don't touch the net when playing tennis, and try not to touch as few surfaces as possible. But at least some people will be able to return to some activity, which will be good. And obviously, we've said before that cycling, including mountain biking on easier trails, not the more difficult ones, plus surfing and also rowing, have given out guidelines as well earlier in the week. So do check out all of those if you want to participate in sport. Over in Europe, the European Athletics Championships has been cancelled because of coronavirus, and the event was going to be taking place between the 25th and the 30th of August in France, but that has now been cancelled. Also, in more positive news, the NFL draft actually took place yesterday, or at least round 1 did. Well, round 2 will be happening today, and Cincinnati Bengals just picked Joe Burrow with their first pick. So he is the top draft pick of 2020. Good luck to the quarterback in his coming seasons. Also in New Zealand, the Silver Ferns have agreed a 20% salary freeze due to COVID-19. This will take place until the 7th of May currently, with all ANZ Premiership and Silver Ferns players taking that 20% freeze to their retainers. Now, as we've just heard earlier, that netball could be returning at professional standard when we get to level 2. That the 7th of May is not that far away. So that wouldn't be that long before they could actually return to sport. And then finally, the Solheim Cup, which is set to take place in 2021, which is the women's version of the Ryder Cup, will not be moved even if the Ryder Cup is postponed a year. They've said that they will not be drowned out by the other event. They're a strong enough brand, and they don't need to move because of other events. So all you ladies golf fans, that's great news that the Solheim Cup will be taking place between the 4th and the 6th of September 2021 over in Ohio. And that's how we finish on positive news. So folks, do stay safe. Have a happy Anzac Day, lest we forget, and do remember to check out those official guidelines about how sport can return from Tuesday of next week. I will be back here tomorrow morning at 8 a.m. with your morning sports briefing. Thank you very much, Stephen, for joining me, and have a safe day, everybody.
No problems.